Hello everyone! We are continuing our series of videos about filling up our mega terrarium. In the last video, we spent a lot of time filling it with sanitation workers. Several species of woodlice, springtails, and hypaspids are already here. These are the ones that will fight mold, decay products, and harmful soil organisms. To prevent them from taking over the entire terrarium, it's time to add predators. Today, we will introduce 10 different species of spiders to our terrarium. When we first started with spiders, I had no idea how interesting these arthropods could be. Today, we will introduce a wolf spider, a flower spider, a bird spider, and 7 other interesting species to our terrarium. There are over 50,000 species of spiders in the world. On average, they prefer moderately high temperatures ranging from 23 to 28 degrees Celsius. We installed a device that tells us the temperature and humidity levels in our terrarium. Currently, it is 25 degrees Celsius and 87% humidity. This data will help us choose which spiders to put in the terrarium. I went to the bathroom to find the first spider. More precisely, I looked under the bathtub itself, where it is dark, warm, and damp, conditions very similar to those in our terrarium. This means that the spider I found will love its new habitat, meet Tegenaria. It is also called a house spider. Ours is only 4 millimeters long, not including its legs. With its legs, it is more than 10 millimeters long, as can be seen in these videos. It will grow to be twice as big when it reaches adulthood. They say cats are liquid, but what about spiders? This Tegenaria calmly crawled through a crack less than a millimeter wide. Now that's flexibility. While we have the opportunity, let's look at the spider from the back. After it settles in, it will be much more difficult. We release our guest into the terrarium, and it immediately starts walking around. The spider is a tourist, exploring its new home. There it is, walking across the lawn. It walks so purposefully, as if it had been here 100 times before and knew where to go. After walking for a while, it got tired and sat down to catch its breath. Look how deeply it breathes. After regaining its strength, it set off again. This spider is one that weaves webs to catch prey. Its web has an interesting funnel shape, so we will easily be able to find this spider in the terrarium in the future by the fruits of its labor. After finishing its journey, the spider sat in one place for over 20 minutes, choosing a dark, secluded spot. We found the next spider under a log near a waterfall. It lived in high humidity conditions, so it will like the terrarium. Several days passed between when the spider was captured and when it arrived at its new home. For several days, the spider lived in the box. Of course, it didn't go hungry, but several days. It didn't leave a single web behind either. Instead, it left something more interesting behind. Here is its old skin. The spider had time to molt. It's a rather timid spider that can skillfully pretend to be dead. It won't react to touch until you touch its abdomen. It pretended here, but it forgot to tuck one leg, so we had to remind it. It worked. We picked up the spider with a stick. Then, we placed it in the terrarium. We haven't mentioned that this is a Lycosidae ground spider, also known as a wolf spider. These solitary predators do not spin webs, but rather hunt by tracking down and attacking their prey. They are nocturnal and wander around their territory or leave their burrows in search of insects. The spider barely reacted to its new home. Even when it started to rain, it didn't lift its belly to go in search of shelter. At one point, I thought the spider might be dead. The moisture on it had begun to dry, yet it remained motionless. It took half an hour for it to show the first signs of life. I call that endurance and acting skills. Give this little guy an Oscar. Its camouflage coloring perfectly matches its habitat, by the way. Such a spider is very difficult to spot against the ground's background. I lost sight of it several times and only found it because it moved. We didn't even have to introduce 2 other spiders. This is a common jumping spider. It climbed into the terrarium itself, apparently attracted by the abundance of food. To give you an idea of its size, each cell is 0.6 millimeters. The spider fits into 4 cells, meaning it is 2.5 millimeters in size. This tiny creature does not spin webs, but hunts accurately, determining the distance and jumping on its prey with lightning speed. It is highly venomous for its size and quickly paralyzes small insects. Its bite is comparable to a mosquito's and is not dangerous to humans. This is Mangora acalifa, which we showed in the last video. It is another inhabitant of the terrarium that measures 2 millimeters. It is much easier to find though because this spider weaves hunting webs. One of its webs was right in front of the waterfall. However, at some point, we lost it. We found it quite by accident on the ground under this bark. There are many small insects here, such as springtails and hypaspids, which probably attracted the spider. Large predators cannot get in, but many small creatures can. When the spider moves, you can see a small thread of web trailing behind it. Incidentally, this is the only spider in the terrarium that belongs to the family of real web spiders. By real, I mean the kind of web that everyone imagines when they think of spider webs. It's an interesting creature to observe, but difficult to film because it's only 2 millimeters long. It will grow to 6 millimeters as an adult, which will make filming easier. An interesting web has appeared on a log. Earth spiders and jumping spiders do not weave webs. Mangora weaves proper webs. Through process of elimination, the only species left is Terrarium, which appeared yesterday. It quickly found a place to live and hunt. The next 2 spiders also do not spin webs. However, they are unique in other ways. These are 2 crab spiders. Looking at them, it's easy to guess why they're called crab spiders. They are also called sidewalkers, which makes sense if you look at the more active one. I wonder if, when we remove the cap, it will still walk sideways. As it turns out, it can also walk straight and moves its legs quite quickly. Although these spiders are somewhat similar, they live at different heights. The white one is the flower spider from the Thomisidae family. It is probably one of the most beautiful and unusual creatures nature has ever created. However, its record among spiders lies elsewhere. It is the immobile champion. The only drawback is that it is so small that it cannot be seen with the naked eye. However, it can be seen with the help of macro photography. When we tried to release the spider onto the ground, it stubbornly refused to leave, having grown accustomed to living on plants. We thought we would let it choose a home, but that was not to be. We had to offer it asparagus, and the arthropod agreed to leave. I really enjoy our terrarium, where we can observe animals like this spider in their natural habitat. By the way, here's a little information about the plant we put the spider on. The asparagus liked the warm, humid conditions with abundant light so much that it sprouted a bunch of shoots. This plant does bloom, of course, but only under favorable conditions. Apparently, our terrarium is just such a place. After 24 hours, we understood why spiders are called masters of immobility. They skillfully used ambush tactics. It didn't move a muscle the entire day. Just imagine sitting in one place all day and all night, even when it rained. It was time for the second crab to enter the terrarium. The previous spider was called Thomisus. This one is Xysticus, from the family of sidewalkers. Like many before it, this spider does not spin webs, but hunts from ambush. It waits for prey on the ground, hiding behind stones, branches, and plants. Judging by appearances, it has already blended into its surroundings. It thinks that if it hides its head, it will be invisible. What a funny little thing! After a while, it decided to change its life and began to move. Slowly, like everyone who changes something in their life, after a while, the spider hid under a plant. It would use this as an ambush for an attack. Now there are 6 spiders in the terrarium, 6 small spiders. The largest was a Terrarium, about 1 centimeter in size. Now, let's move on to the 4 largest spiders in ascending order. This is Steatoda triangularis. It is called the triangular house spider because of the triangular pattern on its abdomen, which is clearly visible in these videos. It is also known as the false black widow because of its strong resemblance to the black widow spider. However, it is not dangerous to humans because it has less toxic venom and is unable to bite through human skin. This spider does not have suction cups on its legs, so it cannot climb slippery surfaces. It is, however, capable of weaving webs, as it proved during the 2 days it spent in the jar. Steatoda is one of 110 species of orb-weaving spiders. You can also clearly see why Steatoda is triangular here. These spiders build their webs in dark, quiet, sheltered places. The cave in the terrarium is exactly the kind of place Steatoda should like. I've only seen this yellow spider twice. The first time, I didn't have time to take a picture. It's a nocturnal predator that hides in its shelter during the day. The spider probably arrived with the log we picked up in the field. It's a yellow-bellied, stinging spider, Terrarium, also known as the toxic madman. Its bite is dangerous to humans and can cause severe pain, swelling, and redness. It may also cause nausea, dizziness, and fever. However, it is not fatal. On the other hand, insects are unlikely to survive an encounter with such a monster. This spider weaves webs only for its own shelter. It prefers to hunt outside its home. The next spider, the 9th in the series, needs no introduction. Surely each of you has encountered it at least once in your life. It has only just started moving and is already leaving a web behind. This is the Phalangium opilio, a species of long-legged spider. There are 1,000 species of long-legged spiders. Most of these species live in the tropics. Our Phalangium is certainly not tropical, but its terrarium is. Considering that the spider likes high humidity, the terrarium is the perfect place for it. Here, you can see the spider weaving its web as if it were floating, with only one leg touching the surface while the others walk along the web. Our spider is about 8 millimeters long, making it a fairly mature specimen. With its long legs, however, it reaches 50 millimeters, making it the second largest spider in our terrarium. Our largest spider is the Tarantula sazimi, also known as the sazimi tarantula, named after Brazilian zoologist Ivan Sazima, who discovered this species. This rusty color is not its natural color. The spider is still young. It will change to blue-green with age. Its size will increase to 7 centimeters, making this spider the largest in our terrarium. This spider is not aggressive and sometimes likes to be petted. It is a terrestrial species that prefers to hide in burrows. Therefore, it needs a shelter. To better observe the spider, we will create a shelter for it near the front glass. It will have a small hole with a piece of bark on top. The only thing left to do was to persuade the spider to move into its new burrow. It was clearly not stupid and did exactly what was asked of it. This arthropod is now the jewel of our spider collection. Like most spiders, it is active at night and at dusk. Rather than using a web to hunt, it attacks from ambush. During the day, it prefers to hide. After a couple of hours, the spider hid in a corner under the bark and did not leave its shelter. The day after the large spiders moved in, we discovered that one woodlouse had apparently become someone's dinner. Most likely, the bird eater was responsible. The bird eater itself was nowhere to be seen. It had left the prepared spot and was hiding elsewhere. We also found a small web between the glass and the ground. Apparently, one of the little spiders made a shelter for itself there. The web is very small, as can be seen by comparing its size to that of the stick insect next to it. The Phalangium moved to the top of the terrarium, above the clouds when it rains. Only one night has passed, and it has literally covered everything near the waterfall with its web. It did so chaotically, weaving wherever it wanted. It apparently passed over the log as well, leaving a trace. Of all the spiders, only the little flower spider remained in place. 4 days have passed, and the flower spider has not moved, demonstrating incredible patience. It is waiting for an insect to fly to it, but none are coming. A small fly landed on the plant. After walking around for a while, the fly fell into the spider's trap. Now, you and I both know how this little creature hunts. It grabs its prey and injects it with poison. Then it holds on tightly until the prey dies, which only takes a couple of minutes. In these shots, you can see the spider's thin threads, but supposedly, spiders don't weave webs. The terrarium is warm and humid, so flies often fly inside. However, these are not ordinary flies. They are 4 times smaller than usual. Nevertheless, for a spider, they are very large prey compared to the Thomas's spider's size. In 4 days, we never once saw the bird spider. It's unclear where it could have hidden. We looked under the snag and turned over every piece of bark in the terrarium. We lifted every piece of moss, even the one in the cave. We disturbed the wood lice. We disturbed the snail. When we lifted all the moss in the left corner, we found our little earth spider. It was about a centimeter in size. There are no large spiders like bird eaters anywhere. To the right of the cave, there is a small, suspicious depression. Perhaps our 8-legged friend is hiding there. We carefully dug up that spot, but it wasn't very deep. There is no spider there. We will definitely find it before the next video is released. That's all for now. Bye-bye.